tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Look at the flick of their wrist.
Woo!
Look at the flick of their wrist. Look at the flick of their wrist. Look at the flick of their wrist. Look at the flick of their wrist.
What is up, AfterBuzzers, Lions, and Cookie Monsters? This is the AfterBuzz After Show for the hit Fox show Empire, Season 2, Episode 1, The Devils Are Here. I am your host, Sofia Stanley, joined by my oh-so-beautiful co-host,
Emile Ennis Jr. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Kennelia.
Bam, as you know, is normally part of the Fab Four, and he's not here because he's actually shooting a national Audi commercial. So make sure to tweet him at Bam Erickson and tell him if you want an A5, A7, or an R8. So you guys, let's just jump right into the Lion's Den and dissect this episode.
Yes.
So we start off with a free concert that was in Lucious's honor. Free Lucious Lyon. And it, on so many levels, touched upon what is going on right now in America, specifically as it relates to Black Lives Matter. How did that resonate with you guys? Did it feel real? Did it feel like entertainment? Or did it feel like a blend of both?
I think it was a nice, healthy blend of both. The reason why I think it made me excited is because when you have a show that is the number one show in the country, that is literally obliterating every other show out there right now, with a predominantly African-American cast, the fact that they were so bold to talk about such a major issue that a lot of mainstream America might be blind to or might choose to ignore, I just think it was a proud moment. I was like, oh, because even though we know behind the scenes, and Cookie knows, Hakeem knows, a lot of people know that Lucious is actually guilty. Regardless of that fact, the fact that they're putting out this message to help those other people that weren't and should not be incarcerated for the amount of time they are, or sometimes at all. I just thought it just resonated well with me, and I think that for people who are watching, there's a lot of people who try to avoid the news, but they like to watch media, especially this primetime soap opera, and if they can use their newfound fame to spread a message, I just thought it was very powerful.
I agree. And Swiss Beats, when he was on stage, he mentioned, I think I caught it right, 1.6 men, African-American men are in mass incarceration, that's real talk. We don't talk about it. And we kind of touch upon it on Happy Hour, which is our podcast that's available on iTunes with me, Emile, and Sophia.
Check
if you want to go to iTunes right now, just search Happy Hour or search our individual names. You can see everything or listen to everything that we talked about in regards to this. We talked about it last night on episode 19. People don't really focus that much as they should on the U.S. prison system. So the fact that they immediately, as soon as the first episode started, they were addressing it, and you had Swiss Beats, who is pretty huge, the person saying it, that speaks volumes, and I appreciated it.
Yeah.
How much longer are they going to treat us like animals? How much longer are they going to treat us like animals? How much longer? The way that let's back up. The way that the cage with the gorilla came out of nowhere and descended into the crowd, and then when we realized it was Cookie Lyon and she spoke those words, I felt like in that infinite moment, she really was the head of Empire, because I think that what she was doing was she was speaking to a larger audience, and she was speaking to an audience that may not know her, but she was solidifying that I am you, regardless of how you may perceive me. Because think about it, they're media moguls. Do you know what I mean? They are beyond wealthy. They are beyond famous. But I think in that moment, what she said is, I am just like you. You are just like me. And specifically as it relates to the fact that the entire war that has been going on is not only to go public, but to maintain the company. And the way that you do that is by having the people on your side. I think she did a really great job doing that. The only other thing I wanted to give a shout out to, the actual poster, the Free Lucious poster. Did you guys notice the colors?
Yeah, it was it was like the militant,
the black liberation flag. So I thought that, again, I think it was very avant-garde, and I think it speaks to the intelligence level and the consciousness level of the writers on this show.
Real quick, let me back it up though. Cookie,
Yes.
Girl, it's 100 degrees and humidity is at 90%. You out here with a gorilla costume on. She pulled the hat off, the top off. I was like, who's in that costume jamming like that? And she pulled it off. The top knot was still intact. How is that possible?
No, we were rewatching
No,
it.
how is it possible?
We were rewatching it, and I was like, I know Taraji was having too much fun making those noises in the sushi.
Oh my God! Who's this in
Okay, I'm going to speak for Bam at the moment. Some of you guys may not know, but Bam has actually a degree in film studies. That wasn't her in the costume. So
You
let's
know it
move on.
wasn't.
It wasn't her in the costume.
Can we talk about some of the fashion though that occurred, because what was the Gucci peacock thing she had on?
Yes.
That Andre Talley dissed her on? Gucci.
Well, Andre Talley though,
Gucci.
no shade, but that.
Anyway, let's move on. But there were definitely a lot of cameos, like we said. There was definitely Swiss Beats, the rapper that was rapping and also made comments to "I Can't Breathe." That was Sean Cross. We had cameos by Reverend Al Sharpton, Andre Talley, Don Lemon. It was really cameo intensive in the beginning, and I think it made it feel real. Or did it make it feel staged?
It felt real because of the comments that they made.
Yes.
So when Cookie and Portia saw Don Lemon, they said, Portia was like, oh, what you did in Peterson, that was messed up. And he was like, Peterson? It's Ferguson.
Yeah.
And then Cookie said, oh, no, you did a good job. And then she whispered and Emile pointed it out. What did he say?
Okay, so she said, yeah, you did a good job in Ferguson, you did a good job in Ferguson. And then she said, but with that N-word though. And it's things like that where that makes it feel real, because that's what we were all thinking. Because immediately when he came on the screen, and even when Al Sharpton came on the screen, I did an automatic eye roll. Like, oh, really? I hate to say it, but it's the truth. It's the truth. So I did automatic eye roll. But then when you have the realness of the characters come out that relate to the actual topics that we talk about in real life, then it's like, oh, that doesn't feel staged. That's why I would say if I really ran to Don Lemon, yeah, you did good in Ferguson, but.
Okay.
But.
So, you know what? Okay, let's move on, and let's move on to the actual takeover. During the concert, we were introduced to Mimi Whiteman, and she is a big-time investor. And we saw her cozying up with Miss Cookie. I think she definitely wanted the cookies. Did we think that initially when she was introduced, how did you feel about her? But more importantly, were you surprised at how quickly Lucious figured out that she possibly could be a problem to his empire?
Yes, because, well, one, I was questioning why, like, this is just I do videos too. And just for the purpose of the Free Lucious concert, I was a little confused out of all the scenes they could have shot, like of the crowd and like people on stage performing, why they would have a shot of Cookie talking to Mimi Whiteman for an extended period of time. If it was like a quick shot, I could get it, even though I understand like she's related to Lucious and it makes sense, but it just didn't really make sense in the context of why would they have like a 2-minute shot of her talking
I'm
to
gonna
him.
jump in on this one. So let's switch this scenario and make it actual real life. Let's say it was Beyonce whispering in the ear of Mark Cuban.
That's true. However, Cookie just got out the pen. She did a 17-year bid. So, you know, like, why are you showing... Yes, she can't be a spokesperson for mass incarceration because she did a 17-year bid. But Lucious picking up on it, it's not surprising because when you have a company like Empire and it's an Empire-sponsored event and you've been doing it this long, you know the players and who has access to front row, who has access to the people on your team. You know this stuff. He's been doing it. He's been running it since the start, pretty much. So the fact that he's seen this lady, he's like, who is she? He didn't even know who she is. And the fact that he's been in this business and he didn't identify her immediately, that to me says something.
I agree with you 100%. However, and maybe it was just because I think from the very beginning of the show, I was drawn back into the fantasy of Empire. Does that make sense? Like, I think that when I watch Empire, because I feel like it feels like a nighttime soap opera, I kind of turn my brain off a little bit and I just enjoy. So to me, when Lucious specifically asked Jamal, who's that lady in the red suit, I thought he was jealous. I really didn't see it. Despite the fact that she was introduced as an investor, I really thought he was a lion protecting his pride. I felt like he was a lion and he was being territorial. And I think that after it was then later revealed, I realized it was both. Because, and we'll talk about it more in detail, we have come to realize that Lucious loves two things and we can't quite figure out what he loves more, his family or his empire. So in that moment, I think he was both jealous of potentially losing Cookie or having Cookie be with someone else in any way, shape, or form. And at the same time, he was fearful that he possibly could lose his company. So I think it was both at the same time.
I can see it, especially since he called her a lesbian bitch. I can definitely see that.
I don't know, but if Lucious and Cookie are street dudes and a street girl, a street woman like they are, you're not threatened by Marissa Tomei.
No, see, and this is, I mean, and
like,
no,
like she had
no.
a little, like, the fact that knowing Cookie and knowing the type of dudes she likes and the type of stuff that she goes for, I can see him, if this is real street dudes, I can see him thinking that she'll play around, but at the end of the day, if Cookie is still riding with Lucious the way she was before he killed her cousin, he wouldn't be really threatened by Marissa Tomei.
You don't think someone who could literally just at the drop of a dime invest $250 million?
Nope, because street women that ain't what it's about. It's about feeling protected. It's about feeling safe. It's about having that down ass person that's down for you and that's not with like puppet strings over your head. You want to feel like that's your dog. Like, that's my dude. And I don't think if he like was looking at it from that perspective, I don't think he would have been threatened by her.
Okay, that's an excellent point. Now let's definitely move to the party. So Cookie's like, I'm really gonna close this deal. And she throws a party for Miss Mimi Whitehead. And literally it is at Hakeem's house. The place is lush and there are just girls everywhere. There are girls making out in the jacuzzi. There are girls in Playboy bikinis with little bows. It is all to impress Miss Mimi Whitehead and let her separate with her dollars.
I thought it was great. When they first walked in, it's funny how it immediately switched from Mimi catering to Cookie to all of a sudden know some people around, but then once she saw Boo Boo Kitty, which I was surprised because Boo Boo Kitty's outfit wasn't really that impressive.
Well, it looked like she got it from White House Black Market at the mall. You know that
my
store?
God,
That's
yes,
what it is. I was like, oh, it's a White House Black Market dress.
Seriously. Like, I was just a little confused because, like, we interviewed Grace Geely and Grace Geely got that body. She got that body. But no, seriously. So
well, I think she proves it in the next scene.
Yes. Can we please play the clean version of Hot?
Like I told Tish, I see when I
Emile, I cannot. Yeah, you gonna get up?
She stood there.
to my block. Keep it on him, he done drop.
Wait, can you do it again?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Tones only get busy with them. Try to run down.
Okay, for our iTunes listeners who are listening and not watching, Emile Ennis Jr. got up and actually showed while he is trying to be the reigning queen of the dance hall.
I can't. I need the fan down. And guys, look at Emile's muscles. Okay,
No, but the funny thing is,
though.
I think that Emile had to reenact the scene because again, we go back to season 1 and the sparring of Boo Boo Kitty versus Cookie. And literally Cookie's like, yeah, show her your sexy body. Do you know what I mean? And she really thought, because again, I think that they were smart in making her outfit a little dowdy. Because what they were trying to do is make us forget that she's actually so sexy. So I think that when Cookie said like, okay, get up and dance with the girl, she was like testing her. Thank you, Anita. She was challenging her to be like, yo, be what you got. And I think that Boo Boo Kitty proved that she's Boo Boo Kitty no more and that she's Anika.
And Hakeem continues to prove that he's just a little kid, which is annoying.
Well, I don't know, because based on, we'll get to the ending, Anika is trashing them sheets because she didn't do what she was supposed to do. So we'll get to that.
Say something? And I'm going to back up because I have to. Do you think that everyone who tried to sleep their way to the top got to the top? Sometimes seriously,
you can get to the middle though.
No, but you can be that good and someone's
middle.
still like, yo, but I like money more than I like your pum pum.
That's
Is that
true.
clean version? Right? I can say that on air.
I want to get to the top the clean way.
Sometimes you have to sleep your way to the middle.
Well,
Yeah, no.
if I was in the middle, I'll get to the top.
So then we fast forward, and we are in the offices of the Empire.
Yeah.
And we literally see that Jamal is in full CEO form, and he is holding a board meeting, and all of a sudden you see the rest of the Lyon family converging. So you have Cookie, you have Andre, you have Rhonda, you have Hakeem, and they are all coming in, and Anika, they're coming in. Hakeem is rolling on his hoverboard. And they enter the boardroom because they basically are literally and figuratively about to usher in a hostile takeover. However, it is very quickly thwarted by Miss Mimi Whitehead. But more importantly, by Lucious. Did that catch you guys off guard? Or you were like, no, there's no way Lucious is going to let this go down, or else he wouldn't earn his rep?
We'll back it up to when they actually entered it. I really liked that scene. When they were all walking, it kind of showed the dynamic of who each person was individually. You had Cookie, where she was like decked out in, like trendy fashion. You had Anika, who was traditionally buttoned up like she's been from the start. Andre with his suit, and you had the millennial, the true millennial, on the hoverboard on his cell phone. I really thought that was it was a nice looking walk through, because it showed everybody's personality. It showed the world that we live in today, and it showed if this were the case and you had a young kid really going into a meeting, he probably would go in on his hoverboard. So I like that. I'm not surprised that Lucious, I mean, it kind of shocked me when it happened, because I was like, oh shoot, like, first of all, you snuck a cell phone in here, he had to record, you can't get no camera into the pen. But
You don't watch Orange is the New Black? Anyhow.
well, remember Shine was rapping on the phone on the Usher's Confessions remix, so anything is possible. But
These are my confessions.
but when I really thought about it, I was like, I'm not surprised, because Lucious is he's just that kind of dude.
Same way, I wasn't really surprised. However, I think it was a funny moment to me because it was so jarring. They came in there so confident, and then to be shut down so quickly, and to see Andre's poor face.
I'm trying to figure out the clean way to say this. Do you think that they got too excited too quick and before the deed was done? Because for me, even the way that Andre said, we had a deal. Like, seriously, dude, like, we didn't send you to Wharton. We didn't send you to get an MBA and basically understand the art of war in a legal manner for you to pull that type of move until everything is done. So meaning the better move would have been, wait a month. No, seriously, like, don't tell everyone. Let everyone get into a frenzy. Let everyone think that there is chaos. Let Jamal have absolutely no idea who this minority stakeholder is. And once everything is kosher, then you make the announcement. I thought that it was an amateur move. It was juvenile of them. And I completely agree with you that the way that they entered the room, it was like a solidified family, and you saw all the layers, but no matter what, they're not playing the game.
I think it was amateur too, everything you said, Sophia, but also Jamal is still the CEO of the company right now.
Correct.
Jamal still has contact with Lucious, and for whatever reason, despite everything that Lucious has done to Jamal, now he just has forgotten that, and he's all hell Lucious, which is a little annoying to me. But the fact that Cookie would not see that she possibly needed to sway him onto their side, he's like the person that can really shift the whole thing, can stop them from, or stop Lucious from finding out. The fact that she didn't think that he would not need to be included in the plan, I think that's what bothered me, because it kind of, and we're going to talk about it, but it's kind of like she got too big for her britches because she's so focused on getting, like what she's saying first season, getting what's mine. She's so focused on being the head of company and getting back what's hers and doing all these different things, being the head of Empire, and she's not thinking strategically. And then Andre, I'm going to give him a pass because he's dealing with Vernon and that death. So maybe that's why he's off his game.
Okay.
But I think that really bothered me, the fact that they wouldn't include Jamal in it, because it was doomed to fail without him.
Well, let's talk about that. Do we think that Cookie was wrong in not looping in Jamal regarding the takeover?
I don't think she was wrong. I think if we look at it in the perspective of, yes, she needed him to loop him in to have everything work out, yes. But let's really look at them. if you have everybody else on board, you have a partner that you found that is going to put up $250 million. You have Lucious, who was in jail, who really you feel like doesn't have that much access to stuff, so he really can't do as much as he could if Jamal came to him. If you're thinking all of these things, you don't really need to loop Jamal in, because if you take over like you said you were going to do and everybody else is on board, to her, she was probably like, well, he's just going... We did this for you. So he would be like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm just going to come over to the other side. And let's really think about it. Cookie isn't a CEO. So does she really know to put all of the pieces together?
Okay, but see, and I'm gonna touch upon that. But would a street person do that? Do you think that in the streets you could really be like, yo, someone elected you basically the boss, which you've always wanted, and basically gave you the keys to the kingdom? Now, because I didn't get the keys of the kingdom, I'm like, yo, I'm finna to take it over.
Yeah. You don't think you're gonna be mad? You don't negotiate with the person that's sitting in the position that you want.
I agree, but then that's exactly why Jamal should be mad.
Well,
right?
He's supposed to be mad.
Well, clearly it's getting a little heated, but let us know what you think on iTunes and on YouTube. We love that we are back. We're back, guys.
Oh my God, we missed you.
We are back. We missed you so much. Empire's back, one of your favorite shows. So make sure you go to iTunes, rate us on iTunes, 5 stars, hopefully. Leave a comment, and most importantly, tell a friend, a family member, your coworker, the person down the street that annoys the hell out of you. Tell all those people about the Empire After Show on AFTERBUZZ. Make sure you clarify on AFTERBUZZ. Also, go to YouTube, leave a comment, rate. I guess you like on YouTube, thumbs up, all the good stuff. We would really, really, really appreciate it.
And after you're done listening to this awesome Empire After Show, make sure you head over to iTunes. And if you need another shot of conversation, check out our Happy Hour podcast. That's available now on iTunes and SoundCloud. Make sure you search Happy Hour, or you can individually search our names, Kennelia, Emile, and Sofia. Subscribe, rate 5 stars, and leave a comment.
Yes, yes. BYOB.
But the T is on us.
Ow! Let's move on to the major threat. So, when we left on season 1, we thought that the only threat to the Empire was Empire itself, i.e. the Lyon family. We are quickly introduced to Frank Gathers, who's played by Chris Rock, and he is the drug kingpin whom Cookie and Lucious both worked for, and it comes to be that he happens to be at the same jail or prison that Lucious is staying at. And if we also remember, Cookie basically just had one of his henchmen assassinated.
Frank Gathers. So here's my thing. I'm all for, celebrity appearances and cameos and things like that. It was Chris Rock, though. I think. Listen. It was Chris Rock. So I think my issue was, in my mind, and I hate this, but in my mind, when there are celebrities, I tend to associate them with one major role, or I associate them with their career path. So for him, he's a major comedian. I remember him narrating on Everybody Hates Chris. Like, there's certain things like I think about Chris Rock and I think funny. So when he stepped off the bus, I was like, oh, like I wasn't thinking, oh, Frank Gathers. Seeing the character, hearing the conversations, we're going to talk about all the different conversations they had. There was one where Lucious said, "You inspired fear." So I know that there were people, you remember that person back in school way back in the day, where they weren't necessarily like buff or big or anything, but somehow they managed to scare the hell out of everybody. So maybe he was that dude, and clearly he was. But for some reason, it just wasn't working for me.
So meaning, like, for instance, let me just kind of paint you a picture. Maybe this is what you're talking about. So if he had maybe like a hard part and like glasses and was uber nerdy, then you can maybe believe like maybe he's psychotic. Because you needed to take it a little bit out of your normal version, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't far enough away from the actual Chris Rock for me to say, oh, that's really believable that he could be the person that he is.
Okay. Well, but let's go directly to, we're going to go initially to that first interaction that he had with Cookie's cousin. And basically, he sits down and basically just tries to suss him out. He tries to figure out if, in fact, Cookie really snitched. And very quickly, we realize that he believes that Cookie did, in fact, snitch. And after telling this man in jail, "I'm hungry. Yo, you hungry?" And we're all like, what the hell is he talking about? Fast forward, in the middle of the prison, they're in a room, and Cookie's cousin has been beaten up, and Frank is eating a meal, interrogating him. Were we surprised at how quickly Frank snitched?
Well, quick, because I told Kennelia, I don't know if you read the article. There was an article in Variety that said, and there's been some theories floating around. There was an article in Variety that said, in the initial script, he's a cannibal. Frank Gathers is a cannibal.
And Cookie mentioned that too.
Yeah, she said she calls him cannibal. So there's a theory floating around that not only was he beat up, but his eye was missing. That's one of the things he's eating. Now, what I saw in the Variety article, they said that what Lee Daniels wanted was for the prop department to have like a steak, and then have skin type graft, like a fake skin graft on top, so you can show he's a cannibal.
It didn't get past the censors.
No.
Yeah.
But if you look in the scene, when he says he's hungry, that alludes to it, but also he has like blood spatter on here.
He did.
Which that wouldn't come if you were just eating a normal meal. So.
Well, I think it says something to Cookie's personality, to the fact that it took for D-Ray's character, what was it? Jermel to be in front of him with his eye being eaten, because I guess that's what it was supposed to be. For Frank to finally be like, oh damn, Cookie did snitch. Because up until that point, he was like, Cookie ain't no bitch. Like, she's not going to snitch on me. No. So it took up until that point. But when I saw Chris Rock's character, yes, it was Chris Rock, but I flashback to Pookie. Not everybody hates Chris. I was like, oh, Pookie was a crackhead, and he was, in New Jack City. Yeah. So it wasn't that big of a stretch. You don't have to be big and bulky to instill fear. So it was okay for me. I just like seeing him in a show.
Yeah.
I like Chris Rock.
Yeah.
We're going to fast forward to Cookie now realizing that her life is in fact truly in danger, and the only person that she can turn to is Lucious. So she visits Lucious in jail, despite the fact that Lucious probably after the first year never went and visited her. Oh, actually, no, he never did. He took the kids, but in 17 years, he never visited his wife in prison. But she goes and she basically says, yo, I need your help. Frank is coming for me. He's coming for the kids. You need to take care of it.
I mean, the scene was cool. I think what I loved most about that scene was the dynamics of their relationship. There is something so real about these actors and these characters where, I have it in my notes somewhere, where he basically says, I hate you and love you at the same time. And I can hate you and love you in this moment even. And it's something about that I think we can all identify with, where when you're in love or you were in love with somebody, as long as you ended on good terms, you're still like cool with them to a certain degree. There can be moments where you literally do not want to see them, can't stand them. I think for me, it's more like family members. There are certain family members like that.
Well, I want the best for people though. And even though Lucious killed her cousin, and they've been through so much, Cookie knows that Lucious would never let anything happen to them. And Cookie wouldn't let anything happen to Lucious. Like, yeah, she's in prison and she's like, you can rot in hell for all I care. But if it came down to life or death, Cookie wouldn't let anything happen to him either. Right. So I think, you get to this mutual understanding and you still do have love because you remember the good times and you cherish the good parts of people, even though they have extremely bad parts.
Yeah.
All right. I can do that. Let's go to the last scene in the prison with Lucious and Frank, because for me, I thought that everything about this scene, and I don't know why I can't recall at the moment, so just tweet us and make sure that you use ABTV Empire, and if someone could remind me who the director of this episode was, because I feel like the way that this scene was framed was beautiful. It was framed actually more like a film.
I think it was Lee Daniels.
Oh, well,
I think it was Lee.
That explains it. It literally explains it, because it was literally basically they were at the end of a long hallway and he was at a table and there was a chess set. And Lucious basically sat down. And from the minute he sat down, they were obviously playing chess. And it was toe to toe to toe. And for a moment, you really thought when he basically was like, hey, we're cool. Like, I don't have, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have a problem with me. Like, we good. Like, basically, you know what I mean? We don't have a problem. Your problem with Cookie doesn't concern me. You really thought to yourself, not only is Frank winning, but like, seriously, Lucious? And the way then he basically was like, yeah, we good. But yo, I love Cookie. So if you going to war with Cookie, you're going to war with me. I loved that scene because I literally was like, yo, who does this skinny dude think he is? No, seriously, you know what I'm trying to say? Because I think also, too, because I think I was able to, on some senses, separate that it was Chris Rock. And all I'm seeing is some nerdy little dude in prison with a whole bunch of, I was about to say MFers, a whole bunch of like big dudes around him that didn't look that scary to me. But all I kept thinking is, Lucious Lyon, I think that on some levels, there's nothing scarier than someone being from the streets and then getting money, right? And for instance, remember when Jay-Z went to Cuba? And they were like talking like, oh, how did he go to Cuba, blah, blah, blah. And he immediately went in the studio and was like, yo, don't make me start pushing weight again just because. You know what I'm trying to say? Like he's like, I have so much money. Like I can do what I want. I can literally rap about the stuff I used to do because I really was that you know what on the corner. And then I never was on the corner because I was that good. To me, that's what Lucious reminds me of. There's an ease to his presence that I thought, oh no, dude, like, you must not know. Like, maybe you don't have cable in the pen, but Lucious runs shit. And to me, the way that he handled him and the way he articulated, like, I have every one of your boys because you can't provide for them what I provide for you, I immediately thought Pablo Escobar, maybe because I'm watching Narcos, and I thought that's exactly how you control stuff. You figure out what someone needs, where their pressure point is, and you go directly to that pressure point. And that's exactly what Lucious did. And the way that he ended that scene and was like, make it long and make it loud. And the way he leaves the room and walks down the hallway and you hear the screaming. And Lucious, for a split second, you think he's flinching, but he's smiling. He's reveling in the fact that he is still the head of Empire. Why? Because he wants to run the world, not just the streets.
Everything you said was spot on. In reference to their scene, though. So remember earlier when Lucious was walking past Frank and his daughters, his daughter was rapping. So I just have to do this quote really quick because not only did he say make it loud and make it long, he said, and by the way, I'm going to sign your baby girl and then I'm going to slip her my bone. Drop the mic. Drop the mic.
Look at him. He did.
like that's just he dirty. Did. Like just imagine while he's getting, because I can't. Like,
well, and he's good for it because we did see that side baby last season with Jamal, with Raven Simone. So he actually would flick at the wrist. But I agree, it was a great scene. You know, sometimes that's just how it is.
Yeah, it was perfect.
It was good.
I loved it.
Well, then we go to the final scene. So Cookie, because she thought that they were in danger, told everyone to go to Lucious's house. And it's for the first time, arguably, the first time specifically Jamal and Hakeem have been in a room that has not been Empire.
And sorry, really quick.
Yes.
Can we just talk about Jamal, like his evolution really quick? Because I'm not really feeling it right now.
Explain.
Okay. So I think the reason why I fell in love with Jamal's character last season is there was this, I don't want to say naive, but there was this vulnerability, innocence. Mm-hmm. He was vulnerable. He didn't have the validation from his father. Now he has his validation in his mind from his father. Mm-hmm. He's the head of Empire. Michael's back now. So he has like all these things going on. There's this arrogance and cockiness I'm not really on board with. And I understand this for the show. Jesse's a great actor. I understand it's for the show. But even Cookie called him out saying you're turning to your father. I'm just hoping that somebody checks him because as of right now, he's heading down a path that is not going to end well for him.
Let him. You know, when I saw this whole thing play out with him, with having the attitude towards his boyfriend, and like he was just real arrogant with him, and then when he was arrogant with Cookie at the end when she slapped him, he was like, "Are you done, lady?" Sometimes you gotta let somebody sink. That's what you get. I was kind of hoping too Cookie would have flipped him the finger like, all right, cool, you do you. If you want to be like your dad, do you, because people learn their lessons on their own time. If you want to be an asshole, if you think that you're all that because now your daddy talks to you when he wasn't talking to you last week, if you think all of this is going to play out in your favor, the point, and I'm not a mother when I say this, but I am saying this, sometimes you got to let your children fly out of the nest. And if they fly out of the nest and hit the ground, then you just got to go over there and help them once they hit the ground, but you got to let them.
What if they die though?
Well,
see, and I'm taking it from such a different position. talking to the fact that it's not going to end well, I actually don't see it that way. Because again, if she's saying you're going to end up like your father, with the exception of him currently being in jail, his father is one of the biggest
He's good.
artists and media moguls that hip hop, let alone music, has ever seen. So there comes a point when you either kind of are ordinary and you care about people's feelings, or maybe you're extraordinary and you're a heartless bastard. It just depends, what is it that you want? So I think what we were seeing season 1 is we were seeing the difference between an artist. Artists by nature are emotional and they care about other people and they care about things.
Yeah.
Moguls are not. Moguls are pragmatic. Moguls are strategic. They don't value emotion because emotion is weakness. So that's the first part. The second part of it is, to me, it makes perfect sense even though it upsets me. A mother's love is unconditional. We always presume that your mom is always gonna love you. She can beat the shit out of you, but she's still gonna love you, right? And you theoretically don't need to do anything to earn that love, right? And that's Cookie.
Yeah.
So even while in jail, no matter what, she took care of Jamal. The difference with a father's love is, it is in fact not conditional. You have to earn it. And because you have to earn it, there is that void that is eating at you. And you are trying. Because again, remember season 1, he was like, I was trying to sing and be an artist like you so that you could see me. Because maybe on that level, you could respect me. The fact that, and let's just make up an age for him. Let's say he's 26. So for 26 years of his life, this man not only has hated him, but was willing to literally throw him out in the trash. But the sad reality is, we still want our dad. Think about all those dads that aren't around, who show up once in a while, maybe send a gift, and all of a sudden they're like the savior, right? That is exactly what is going on here. And I think it is unfortunate, but from a human psychology perspective, it makes perfect sense, because that is what this has all been for. He knows Cookie will always love him. Even in that last scene, which we have to dissect, he knows that she'll still protect him. Regardless of whether or not she's taking away the company, she will always protect him. What he is now feeling like he's getting from his father, it's like a drug.
Yeah.
And then take another layer on it, he's also Lucious Lyon. So he's like a celebrity. Think about it. As an artist, he's your icon that you thought was literally untouchable, that now you're having private meetings with in jail, and he's telling you and confiding in you. That's too powerful of a drug to not properly run its course. And I fault Cookie for never looping him in, because I think she should have known her son enough to know that that would have bruised his heart to not be included. So where else is he going to turn? The only person who has their arms outstretched.
So quick question, when Lucious gets out of jail and potentially says, okay, I'm out now, so this whole thing, you're done, I'm back, and I'm going to be the CEO, and yay, bye. Do we think it's going to affect Jamal even more?
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Because I'm like, okay, once he gets out of jail, we're not going to have this holding hands and him being like, Jamal, you're so great.
No, the dynamic's going to change.
Yeah,
again.
I'll save that for predictions, though.
And how do we feel about the exact last scene? Kennelia, you quickly touched upon it. And basically Jamal orders everyone out of the house, including his mom. And she slaps him and says, who do you think you are talking to? And Jamal stares her dead in her face. And there was obviously there was some look in his eye that scared her. And that's why that first slap to me was like a normal mama slap. Like, who the hell you talking to? Like, you must have lost your mind. You must have gone Hollywood or gone uptown, but you don't talk to me that way. The reason she slapped him the second time is I think she was fearful. There was something in his eyes that she had never seen before, and she was literally trying to slap the devil out of him. And then basically he literally and figuratively backed her down. How did that play for you guys?
Well, I'll start with the humorous and then end with the humorous, just because it was really emotional for me. The beginning, when he was kicking everybody out, I love how Hakeem said, "This ain't even your house." like, even though he's immature, I love where he has those moments and just speaks the truth. And even early in the episode, he knocked the iPad out of his hand with Becky. That was funny, but it was prepping us for what was about to occur. And I remember I whispered to Sofia after it happened, I said, this could potentially be an Emmy-worthy thing, just because even though I'm so glad that Taraji got nominated last season, there wasn't really a moment or an episode where I could say, oh, that's good. But this scene, there was an authentic nature to it where even with the smirk of Jamal kicking him out, like, get out. Like, he was smiling while he said it, and then it turned into obviously seeing what was really happening. Everybody's leaving, and it was that moment where in Cookie's mind, she really thought she could fix it. Like, she truly thought, I can fix this. My baby's okay. I can slap this out of him. Like you said, Sophia, when she did the first slap, that was the initial, okay, if it doesn't work for this slap. The second slap, though, it was a slap completely out of fear. Like, what happened to my baby boy that I finally rekindled this connection with after 17 years? Like, what happened to him? Like, where did you go? I think what got me, and I wasn't going to cry because we were at a viewing party, so I'm not going to cry in public. But I think what got me was after the second slap, it was that slow close of the door, and you saw the tears going down her face, like in the crack of the door. That hurt. I'll end on a funny note, though. When he closed the door, I was expecting in true like Dallas or Dynasty style for him to like knock that elephant over or like knock a chair over. He just closed the door and walked in, like cried, and then walked. I was expecting like some type of dramatic pushover. And I considering how over the top the episode was, I don't even think that would have been over top for that scene. I feel like it would have been appropriate.
See, and I actually liked the way the door shut.
The simplicity.
And I liked the fact that in that moment, you realize that he still has emotions. And again, on some level, it's going to sound effed up, I respected him more for that. Because again, what I think he's doing is he's picking a lane. And even if I don't agree with the lane he's picking, if in fact he wants to be the head of the empire, it really is just business. I don't have time for this emotion. So it's actually that I feel it, but I am strong enough to literally pull it back in and do what I need to do.
Well, I wanted her to slap him one more time because I was like, slap him again, and she didn't slap him again. That really defeated me because he had, once you, like Sophia said, that the first slap was the mama slap. The second slap, she was hurt, and I was like, well, since you already hurt, girl, just go ahead and hit him again because at this point you're not gonna win. Just slap him again and leave. I kind of wanted Cookie to take I wanted her to show more. Not like pride, but I wanted her to hold her head up a little more. I understand she was hurt by her son, and I understand that she was. It broke her down because out of all of the boys, Jamal was her one. That was her baby. But sometimes you gotta show that you're not scared of you either. Like, I see the man that you're becoming, and I think you're just like your father, and I think it's equal. But you know what? I'm still not rattled. So I want a Cookie to kind of to buck up a little more, and it'd be like, okay, cool. You can cry, but the way she kind of sunk down, that kind of made me a little.
The defeat just seemed out of character.
It just seemed she was too defeated for me.
Okay.
I wanted her to be a little more forceful, or have a little more spice with it.
Yeah.
Well, I think they did exactly what they're meant to do because they definitely left us wanting more of Empire. So let's move on to Kennelia's cold piece.
Cold piece of the week. I know you guys have been waiting for Empire Season 2, Episode 1 goes to Cookie Lyon in that gorilla suit. Girl, get out of that suit. I can't. Like, when she came down, when they lowered the cage down, I was like, who's this in this cage? She was doing the Chris Brown run it, the crump dances in the suit. And I was like, okay, it's Chris Brown in the suit. Then she was like, it was just too much in the suit. She took the hat off. She wasn't sweating bullets. Her hair wasn't messed up. She still had that Gucci dress on under the suit. Like, you really got the Gucci dress on under the suit. It was just like you at the Made in America festival with a gorilla suit on. It just took me aback, and I just couldn't handle it. For that reason, Cookie Lyon, girl, you get cold piece of the week. Cold piece goes to Emile's pecs, because if you look at this shirt right here, he has a mesh covering over his pecs. I want you guys, if you're listening on iTunes, to go to our YouTube channel right now. AFTERBUZZ TV, Empire After Show Season 2, Episode 1, and look at Emile's chest. Let us know who you think Cold Piece and Cold Piece-ette of the week should be. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook using hashtag Cold Piece and Cold Piece-ette. Don't cover up now.
Okay, go to my Instagram too, Emile Ennis Jr.
Exactly.
as everyone knows, everyone and their mama are talking about Empire. It is the Empire effect. We won't even go into it. We have the Apple Music commercial with Kerry Washington, Mary J. Blige, and Taraji P. Henson that aired during the Emmys. The Empire effect is affecting us all. Ratings. So yeah, let's go directly into news and gossip.
So for news and gossip,
AfterBuzz TV News.
I meant to check before I walked into the studio, but I know earlier for Empire the ratings were 16.3 million for the preliminary numbers, which is massive compared to what a lot of the news shows, because they were reporting.
I think it was the second best rating for,
just crazy. And I think the reason why is because there's a lot of shows, new shows and old shows that came back, and the premieres just were a little underwhelming, and they're saying where'd the youth go, like nobody's watching. But it goes back to your Empire effect. There's just something about this show and the thing is, you can't say it's just because it was a hit last season, because there are shows where they're a hit season one, it comes back and the audience is gone. But this was only, and I need to see the live +3 numbers, because preliminary numbers were only like a smidge off from the finale numbers, which is impressive because finale broke records. So I think I'm just interested to see where it's going to go. I hope we have the same thing where it rises each week, because I was at the studio this morning, Hollywood Today Live, and I met Taronda, who plays Portia.
Ooh, we love her. We are
which you
team
can see
Portia
on my Instagram. But I was talking to two makeup artists, and they both said, yeah, we haven't watched Empire. There's still a lot of people who still have not. So even though it's this massive hit, there's still so many people who still haven't checked out the show. So it can still grow.
I think that's great. I think it's great. And I think part of it's because I think that they touch upon real life in the show. So there's something about it that feels real. But then that also, draws haters.
Yep. And speaking of haters, so I don't want to say haters, but first of all, shout out to Miss Lawrence. Miss Lawrence, if you're a Real Housewives of Atlanta fan, Miss Lawrence made a guest cameo in this episode.
You can sing.
Right? Got to be right. So Miss Lawrence, just fun fact, he grew up in Atlanta. I grew up in Atlanta. He went to Tri-Cities, which was a rival school of Westlake where I went to, but Tri-Cities was a performing arts high school. So I think in a way, I kind of root for anybody from Atlanta, but it's nice to see somebody get to do what they wanted to do.
Right, meaning that he's actually trained, he's skilled.
Yeah.
Yes.
He wants to sing, so it's nice to see that cameo. But when he was talking to Becky in the scene, they said they were making a joke about Donnie McClurkin being at the GLAAD event. And for those who don't know the Donnie McClurkin history, you can look at it on the internet. I'm not about to say it on here. But you can look at it on the internet. And Donnie McClurkin responded and pretty much said, I have no ill will towards Lee Daniels. They're just giving me shine and bringing people to look up my music and find out more about God through the promotion of my name on the show. So that was his response.
Very good, very good. Well, I know that many of you definitely had viewing parties. Like we said, the Empire effect is making people watch this show collectively. And we watched at the official LA viewing party, but there are also viewing parties that are going on in every single major city. And you can check those out by going to www.empirewednesday.com. And if you go actually and watch on Wednesday, you can actually see live streams. So from Atlanta, Chicago, and the key thing is, with all of these cameos, you never know who's going to show up and possibly who could perform.
Ooh.
Exactly. So www.empirewednesday.com. So let's go into Empire predictions. I have a lot. Do you guys want to start, or do you want me to start? I have a lot.
Mine's quick.
Yeah, I don't have a quick one.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll go first then.
Okay.
So my prediction is Lucious is going to get out of prison, kick Jamal to the curb, treat him like the redheaded stepchild. Again, shout out to redheads because I'm not disrespecting y'all. Y'all cool. And Jamal is going to go back into this whole woe is me thing and be reunited with Cookie, but not immediately. This is going to drag out amongst the seasons, but at some point it has to have that conversation where I told you your daddy didn't care, and then Jamal's like, I know you're right, and then we're back to being unified.
For my prediction, it's more of I can't believe that Rhonda and Andre just buried the body. Like, for some reason I would think that they could have some other way with all the money that Empire has to get rid of the body.
Acid.
Right? It just didn't make sense to me. So I feel like that's going to come out because Vernon is still dead. As far as Jamal and Michael, I'm so glad they're back together. I don't think it's going to last, unfortunately, just seen the dynamics of the relationship. It doesn't feel like love. Right now it seems like Jamal is just trying to pacify Michael and keep him at bay. And it kind of feels like controlling and not really loving. And I'm on board with everything you said regarding Jamal. Lucious is going to get out because the prosecutor isn't... She lost her star witness because Vernon's dead. She's going to find out that Vernon's dead, or they can't find him, so Lucious is going to be released. And then, Jamal will be salty again, and Hakeem will still be on that hoverboard rolling around, knocking iPads out of people's hands. So,
okay, before I get to my predictions, I have to give a quick shout out to two things we didn't mention. A prosecutor who walks into prison with that much cleavage.
Couldn't even focus on the scene.
Seriously?
She's still sad that Ricky died and wasn't in the Ricky, baby, your test scores when she came in. It's like, oh, maybe she has Ricky's test scores still in hand.
Obviously, in here, the turn up is real. Anywho, I need to give a shout out to Rhonda asking Andre if he told his pastor. She's ride or die. She's really trying to always cover the bases. However, this leads to my prediction. Either Andre is stupid or he is smart because he's going to tell his dad that he killed Vernon in order to save the family. Right there, that is going to, regardless of whether or not you can actually run the empire, you are now at least better than your other brothers because as you always do, you take care of the actual problem, specifically when it comes to criminal stuff, right? And my other thing is, even though I like your prediction, I actually think that the bigger threat is Marissa Tomei, Mimi. You don't bring in an actor of her caliber and her, I mean, she won an Oscar. You know what I mean? You don't bring her in if she's not going to have a huge story arc. Again, we always think that the only threat is within the empire. They have now brought out a 100% outsider into the Lion's Den who has, and I can't recall, either a minority or a majority stake. Either way, that is dangerous. I think that her storyline is going to wreak havoc and separate everybody.
Well said. Well said.
Yes. Well, if you guys want another shot of conversation and you feel like this ended a little bit too quickly, well, make sure to check us out on our podcast, Happy Hour, a shot of conversation on iTunes and SoundCloud. Where can everyone reach you, beautiful people?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Kennelia.
For me, at Emile Ennis Jr, EMILEENNISJR, because some of y'all can't spell.
And make sure that you continue to build your empire during the week. I'm Sofia Stanley, at Sofia Stanley Twitter and Facebook, and at the Sofia Stanley on Instagram. We will be right here, same time, same place, at the Empire AfterBuzz Lion's Den.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.